So yesterday was a monumental day in AI because many were speculating that OpenAI basically achieved AGI, and many that worked at OpenAI also made this claim. Now, recently we had a very interesting discussion on Twitter that claims that this AGI benchmark slash demo that we saw isn't what we think it is. So it all started when we got this tweet. I'm getting GPT-4 vibes from this announcement when in March 2023 we had some massive progress. And how did they get such a jump in ARC AGI? Then
It's crazy because when Sam Altman was going on his rounds online, going on the podcast and stuff, what was the first question some of these podcasters was asking? It was asking, yo, are we close to AGI? How close to super intelligence are we? His response was not even yes or no. It was always, well, not quite. And it's always takes another time, or it was some sleazy way to work around the answer. He never really gave us a clear cut if AGI is here. Now, I believe AGI is here. I just don't think they have the best version of AGI. Like, they might have a retard on their hands. I would know because ChatGPT is still not that good, but it's getting better over time. It's just not that good. Now, something like Claude, which could take in a lot of context, if they say they had AGI, I don't want to say that I will believe them 100%, but I believe them because Claude gave me responses like, hey, look, that ain't for you to know. Well, Claude give me responses that give off a I know, but I'm not gonna let you know that I know. Like I'm gonna play around with your emotions. I don't really like using Claude too much because Claude might like you feel me? Claude might tell me he don't know something, but he really knows something, and you really gotta pull teeth to get it out.
this person, Niels Roj, responded saying they did this by training 75% on the training set. And then this refers to something that OpenAI showed where they shared that they trained on the O3 training set and they tested on 75% of the public training set. And it says that they have not shared more details. Now, this is basically referring to this, which is on the ARC AGI webpage, where they look at the O3 results. And it says here that it says note on tuned. OpenAI shared that they trained the O3. We tested on 75% on the training set. And it says that they have not shared more details and they have not tested the ARC untrained model to understand how much of the performance is due to the ARC AGI data. Now, then we also had a notable AI critic, Gary Marcus, who said, wow, if this is true, this raises serious concerns about yesterday's announcement. And this is, of course, referring to the fact that if the model was quote unquote trained on the training set, then it would have seen some of the examples. That was the presumption. Now, interestingly as well, we also had this. Someone also said that they had an Altmanian slip in that O3 presentation. The engineer said that they specifically targeted the ARC benchmark, and Altman immediately corrected him, saying that they didn't do anything special. And Altman has no need or reason to say anything unless it's a lie, also has nothing to say. Now, essentially what he's referring.
You see what I mean? He always has nothing to say, and it's frustrating now because you are the leader, nigga. If you're not gonna let us know what's going on in tech, who is? Because Elon definitely isn't. Jeff Bezos definitely isn't. Like you're even the way y'all opened up, you're supposed to be a non-profit. Now you're going for profit. So I don't know what venture capitalists really got a hand of you. Well, no, Microsoft and everyone that changed on the board when Ilya Sutskever left. So like, I think you're just sleazy now. This sucks.
To here. I'm going to show you guys the clip in a second, but he says Altmanian slip, which is quite like the word Freudian slip, which is like where you say something that you're not meant to, and it is apparently a verbal or physical error that occurs when an unconscious thought infers with what someone was meant to say. Now, take a look at this small clip here, because I do think this is a little bit interesting, but as this video evolves, you'll start to see that the claims don't hold much ground.
You know, it's also a benchmark that we've been targeting, been on our mind for a very long time, so excited to work with you in the future.
Worth mentioning that we didn't, we target and we think it's an awesome benchmark. Yeah. We didn't go do specific work with this. This is just, you know, the general O3. But yeah, really appreciate the partnership. And this was a fun one to do.
And that clip was basically referring to where the engineer basically said that they targeted the benchmark, but Sam Altman was stating that they didn't. Now, one of the co-creators of the ARC AGI benchmark has actually responded to this, and he says, raising availability on this note, we added to address the ARC tuned confusion. Said that OpenAI shared that they trained the O3 we tested on 75% of the public training set. And he said, this is the explicit purpose of the training set. It is designed to expose a system to the core knowledge priors needed to beat the much harder private evaluation set. The idea is each training task shows you an isolated single prior, and that the evaluation set requires you to recombine and abstract from those priors on the fly. Broadly, the evaluation task requires utilizing 3 to 5 priors, and the evaluation sets are extremely resistant to just memorizing the training set, and this is why O3 is impressive. Now, he also stated here that the other reason that he doesn't think that this matters is that it's nearly certain that ARC's training set and the evaluation set, mind you, was included in the pre-training for GPT-3, 4, and 4.0 because those have been hosted on a public GitHub repo since 2019.
Wait, GPT-3, 4, and 4 always on a public repo? What the fuck? Hold on. Whoa, that's nuts. That's nuts. GPT 4.0 GitHub. I don't believe it. I don't believe that shit, bro. That shit is not on. Oh, blood clot. Blood clot. Whoa there. Oh, it's just the API key. No, wait. Nah, I'm not jacking it. Let's go GPT-3. Because I know GPT-3 has a repo. I'm curious now. This is some weird. What the fuck? Transformer project. Oh, first of all, let me start this. Whoa. So you can make, and it's built on Python. Hold on, let me read me. This project is dedicated to building a generative pre-trained transformer inspired by the seminal attentional you need. Wow. CD small LLM, pip and store requirements, EPUB. So like GPT really has its own repo. That's
And the
wild.
craziest thing about that is that those other models don't seem to perform that well on the ARC AGI benchmark, which means that if it was in the training, pre-training data, then that means that O3 would likely actually be a different breakthrough, because if that is the case, then we should have seen those other models like GPT-4 or 4.0 actually perform well on those benchmarks. Now, someone else here also said, where's your result without this data set? What's the scientific value of this number? If you explicitly call out this limitation, what do we learn from this? And he said that, we want to do the ablation study. We just didn't have enough time before the announcement. And I still don't think this takes anything away from the fact that O3 is a uniquely capable system. And this is something that I do agree with when we do take a look at what O3 is capable of, which I will mention later on in the video. I can see here that this is where
Multitasking, making chicken, and watching today's news. So bear with me. Putting some hot sauce on my bad boy.
where Francis Cholet also decides to respond. The other individual who also created the ARC AGI benchmark says that this is the point of the training set, though to train your model on it, it would have been more impressive if the model had no prior exposure to the ARC data. But the fact that the model was ARC adapted via the training set absolutely does not invalidate its score. So you can see here that the creators of the benchmark also do not think that this invalidates its score. Now, of course, we are going to have notable AI critics like Gary Marcus that are going to say stuff when it comes to criticizing AI. Like I've always said, I always do think that it is important to have a even discourse in AI, because that is how you actually make progress rather than just being in a hype bubble. That is how you actually look at your flaws and then of course decide to see, okay, if this isn't real reasoning, how do we achieve the real reasoning and get to true AGI? Now, of course, there is some more information because a lot of people really have missed the mark with this one. Speaking of AI, have you actually wondered how large language models like the ones we talk about consistently actually work under the hood? Well, this is where today's sponsor, Brilliant, comes in. Brilliant is where you learn by doing. With thousands of interactive lessons in math, data analysis, programming, and AI. And what I personally love, trained on the train set, it's all over. An employee or a member of technical staff, or just click the link right there. You can see here, Rune, an OpenAI employee or a member of technical staff, says that, oh man, they trained on the train set, it's all over now. And he's basically using sarcasm to say that this is not the case. Now, when we actually take a look now, and he's basically...
While this, if true, raises serious questions about yesterday's announcement, by training on 75% of the training set. Note, OpenAI shared they trained the O3 model, no tested on 75% of the public training set. They have not shared more details. We have not yet tested ARC untrained model to how to ARC AG1 data.
Using sarcasm to say that this is not the case. Now, when we actually take a look at what's going on here, we can take a look at what this individual here, who is conducting research at OpenAI, says. He stated, okay, that the model we used for all our O3 evaluations is fully general. A subset of the ARC AGI public training set was a tiny fraction of the broader O3 training distribution, and we didn't do any additional domain-specific fine-tuning on the final checkpoint. And this is in response to a tweet from someone else that works at OpenAI, who says, to anyone wondering if the high ARC AGI score is due to how we prompt the model, nah, I wrote down a prompt format that I thought looked clean, and then we used it. That is the full story.
You know what's funny? I think when it comes to programming, it's going to take on a new meaning because a lot of things come from prompts. So if you don't understand what code is or how to code, you just might fall behind not knowing what prompts to like input. And you don't know what prompts to input. You don't know how to reverse engineer whatever the fuck is going on. You get what I mean? Because it's all about reverse engineering now, or at least some form of social engineering that allows you to kind of get what the computer's telling you and regurgitate it to some form where you could communicate it back. Like there's two different forms of a system. You could either compile the message or there's another form. So you can be, or you can translate it, like almost like a translation or compiling, right? So if you compile it, you just ingesting all the answers and making sure that it searches through the query. And what was the other one? And my memory is bad because you had to remember all this shit, and it's not that important to remember all this shit. But sometimes you just gotta be like forgetting it on a dime. So like compiling and is it translation? The other version of it is more so binary, ones and zeros. That's all I was trying to say. One is compiling, which is like what LLM is, putting and ingesting everything with information and querying through the things. The second one is like binary. So like it's not like you're not querying into it, you're asking the hard well, you are querying into it, you're just asking the hardware specific queries. So like one to one basically. And you gotta make sure, I guess, like you know what you're doing or saying so it could translate back the right message.
Story. So you can see here that the individuals working at OpenAI have clearly stated that they didn't do any additional domain-specific fine-tuning on the final checkpoint. I know that a lot of people would have thought that, okay, because it says tuned, so that means they fine-tuned the model on that benchmark, but this is not the case. You could also see someone here say, were anyone on the team aware and thinking about ARC and ARC-like problems as a domain to improve at when you were designing and training O3? And they said that this is the distinction between succeeding as a random side effect and succeeding with intention, which is, of course, you know, potentially referring to the fact that you can target a benchmark, which is sometimes what tends to happen when people are trying to build these LLMs. You can see here, he says, no, the team wasn't thinking about ARC when training O3. People internally just see it as one of the many other thoughtfully designed evaluations that are useful for monitoring real progress. And we can see someone also said here that, you know, what does tuned mean here? So he says it's a strange way. This is another, you know, researcher at OpenAI says it's a strange way of denoting that we included ARC training examples when we were training O3, and it isn't some fine-tuned version of O3 though, it's just O3. And this is of course a very, very big difference, because if you fine-tune something on, you know, certain pieces of data, that is completely different than just having it in its training data. So those are two different things. And that is definitely a very strange way of denoting that, which I think brings some confusion. And of course, I'm guessing that the team internally weren't really trying to target that ARC AGI benchmark. It was just an unintended side effect. Now, whether or not that's true, you're going to have to be the judge. Now, with all of this information, with some people stating that yes, they did the benchmark, no, they didn't because of the examples, yada, yada, yada. But
Here's why they didn't do the benchmark. In the world we're living in now, there's literally YouTube channels that's giving you papers of information that's being presented to us, and they're training it. I mean, I said training, and they're comparing it to the biggest and best, like Llama and Quan. Boy, you got what's the other one that just came out? That's supposed to be an open AI whatever that thing is called. Then you got companies trying to engulf all the LLMs into one so you can utilize it. You got Ninja Chat or Mammoth AI. Dude, all this to say that there's data to back everything that someone is saying. The fact that you can't really like tell us one thing, just one thing. Oh man, we want one thing. Like, is it AGI or not? Keep everything else. I'm telling you, keep everything else. Save it for the birds. Is it AGI? Do we got AGI or not? You the first. Do we got AGI or not? If you tell us no, don't tell us no because you're trying to protect yourself from competition. Be genuine. Like, hey, we didn't have the research. Just be genuine. Do you have AGI or not? We're not trying to hear, oh, yeah, we trained this 3.0 model, so this is technically AGI. You give me a technical answer, I'm going to technically cuss you out. Like, I'm going to technically cuss you out, bro. Do we got AGI or not? It's a simple answer. Yes or no, my nigga. You're always skirting around an answer, bro.
We clearly see that, we have both creators of the benchmark basically saying that, this doesn't invalidate its score. And of course, that the evaluation sets are extremely resistant to just memorizing the training set, which is why O3 is impressive. I still think that even if, okay, which I don't believe anyways, that even if this was just pure memorization, which like I said, I don't believe, O3 is still a remarkable system because of this. So this is the Epoch AI Frontier Math benchmark, and the previous state-of-the-art systems managed to get just 2%. You can see here, O3 manages to get...
First of all, you know what test you could run to see if it's like even okay? There was a test yesterday. It said how many days is in between November 17th? No, I think the 12th, but we're gonna say the 17th for now, just so I don't butcher anything now at this point. I already said it. So the November 17th to December 27th, right? And from that, you know how much AI models got it wrong? Because there is a kind of technical answer. Nigga, I don't know it. I'm not gonna give you the answer because if I butcher it, how I look? How I look butchering it, bro? So
over 25%, which is pretty incredible when we start to think about what this means for the system. Now, for those of you who don't realize how big of a jump this really is and how incredible this result is, Terence Tao, which is often considered one of the greatest living mathematicians, who is a Fields medalist and a professor at the University of California, UCLA. This guy, okay, said that this benchmark, these are extremely challenging, and I think they will resist AI for several years at least. This is what he
Terence
said when he
Tao.
looked at
I'm
the
gonna visit
benchmark
him.
when
I'm in
it first
Cali.
came out. And we can already see that O3 is a system that manages to get 25%. Remember, this is OpenAI's second iteration of the model, and it's able to do that well on a
Terrence,
really
I'm gonna come by,
challenging
bro.
And the
I ain't
craziest
gonna
thing about
cap.
all of this is that when
I
we
need to
look
talk to
at this
Terrence.
benchmark, it's a thing that is really resistant to memorization because there is not much data out there. Take a look at what they actually said in the video they posted to their channel, and I think most people did miss this because the video has, I think, around 300 or 200 views.
Existing benchmarks for complex scientific reasoning are close to saturating. We need something new to be able to tell how much progress we're making towards expert-level ability. And that's why we've built Frontier Math. We worked with over 60 mathematicians worldwide, professors, IMO writers, and Fields medalists, to produce hundreds of original, extremely challenging math problems.
Here's the thing wrong with that. Just because you work with people in math, it doesn't make it any better. So case in point, the curriculum for math changes every year because there's a new way to solve a problem that has already been existing. You don't help AI in a field like that. You get what I mean? Like, it makes it look like Sam Altman is dumb. think about it. You don't advance yourself in a field that's already changing, right? So you have mathematicians who's already going to change their curriculum to go by a school board. Getting them in the same room to help you build on that isn't going to help because at some point, you're still not going to account for the newest change that occurred because they still have to go through that. So it's either you're going to always rely on a mathematician for your AI or you're always going to rely on some faulty math or equation that's not going to give you an answer that, it's not going to give you an answer that's like dated till today anymore. So how do you really grow when it comes to this? You study it, you have to incorporate it into the labor force. Like when you do that and you incorporate it into the labor force, you allow for people who are good to compete against a basic robot. Once you get that data is going to be backed on not just real information and stuff, real time information. So you can have it not just marked, but the benchmark can now be the time frame that it took the human to complete. Now you're going based off of what's actually been there. You're not going off of a theory or equation or something that is like hypothetical. That person can outpace that robot. So that data is specific to that person. Each robot will be like almost like paired with a human. You get what I mean? So now you get the human giving data to the robot. You can't train information that's synthetic on information that we already don't have. That's like telling a nigga, yo, can you go to the store for me? And you don't ever tell this nigga how to get to the store. And you wondering where this motherfucker is at after he left. Nigga looking for a store. You know how much shit that he could have came across? Oh, what store do you want me to go to? Where is this store that you go to all the time? I wonder which way I should go, right or left. Like I'm trying to get specific as hell, but like there's so much questions that could be broken out just in that one fuck up. Imagine what they training OpenAI on. How many fuck ups are they going through right now? Which is the real question.
These are actually genuinely hard problems. One of the things that will be, I think, difficult is like a lack of training material. Like pretty niche. It's probably not that well documented.
Yeah, so I took a look at the 10 problems you sent. I think I could do the analytic number theory ones in principle, and then the others I don't know how to do, but I know who to ask.
The problems of frontier math range in scope from Olympiad-style puzzles to research-level challenges and span across all the major fields of mathematics. They're also beyond the capabilities of current AI. We've tested the most advanced systems available, and each succeeded in less than 2% of these problems.
In the near term, basically, the only way to solve them, short of having a real domain expert in the area, is by a combination of a semi-expert, like a graduate student in a related field, paired with some combination of a modern AI and lots of other packages and things like that.
Although frontier math measures advanced mathematical reasoning, we use problems with closed-form answers like integers so they can be automatically verified without significant advances in the math libraries of proof assistants. This is a challenging design constraint for the mathematicians writing these problems, because research is almost entirely conveyed through proving theorems. An AI capable of solving this challenge will have a drastic effect conveyed through.
You heard that? It's conveyed through proven theorems. So in order for OpenAI to work, you have to prove the theory or whatever hypothesis that is. That's not feasible. Every time I write something, if I have to prove that it fucking works in order for me to say that I've reached a new benchmark, that's not fucking possible, bro. You train it on real-time data. Why you think Twitter will always hold its weight as the best social media platform? What, you think because it's the oldest? Yo, bro, they have some of the most newest and up-to-date information at the fastest rate. Granted, that's the oldest. Yeah, so it helps. It really does help because you have data to sell. I'm not saying that's not important. That is very important. But in regards to this, there's nothing to prove with the news or what information you're getting on Twitter. The information you're getting on Twitter is 100% first. It doesn't have to be real, true, false. It's just first. That theory you can prove. Who gets the information first? If it's not Twitter, it's Google. And if you're getting compared to Google, that's a good benchmark to have. So, like, That is what I'm talking about. If you're gonna aim for a benchmark, aim high. Like even Facebook, they're aiming for Twitter because they know they can't compete with Google in certain data areas. I mean, in certain, yeah, and just in certain data areas. So they're going for Twitter, the jugular. And then they're trying to make sure to attempt to fight with Google. What are they doing? The metaverse, machine learning, LLM. They're trying to be the first there. Mark Zuckerberg invested everything into it because he believed into this like hype. And now looking at it, he's competing with Google on that side, and with Threads and social media, he's competing with Twitter. So that's the type of data you need to be competing on OpenAI. And if you can't, then like synthetic data not gonna help you, bro.
Proving theorems.
At all.
An AI capable of solving this challenge will have a drastic effect on mathematics.
So that right there should show you guys that even if there are maybe some minor issues, okay, and very, very minor issues with the AGI benchmark, a system managing to get 25% on the benchmark when we saw 01 mini and 01 preview get around 1%, we know that this system is a drastically different system in terms of the capabilities. Now, whether or not you agree, that is completely up to you. There is always going to be AI skeptics, which I think there should be because it allows for criticism. And like I said, it allows for us to achieve real progress outside of the bubble of hype. But I wanted to make this video to clear up the fog in the air because there was a lot of discussion about whether or not this demo was faked, whether the benchmark was real. And this video should just provide you guys with some insight with as to what this benchmark
Covered it, right? And even in the coverage of the video, it's not something I remembered. Like I don't think it was groundbreaking like '03 or '02 data. So I don't know if OpenAI never claimed they have the AGI. Yeah, like I don't know if I even in the video I said that like Altman never really comes out and says AGI exists. He always sleaze his way around it. And like you can't be mad at someone who's holding out on an answer he probably doesn't know one. You just gotta appreciate him for being like good with the words. Like he's slick with his mouthpiece. That shit worked. Like he know exactly what to say to you guys, how to word it so he doesn't get himself in trouble, but just grasp the audience attention as well. Congratulations, Sam. Like you masterful performance again. You got people thinking that you came up with the next big thing.